Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again. Greatly appreciate you. Let me just make sure everything is like it's supposed to. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Slavi Younger, and I will be your host today. We have a actually very nice sized crowd. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that this is a first time joining our monthly webinar, a little bit about Fräsch. Let me introduce that first. Fräsch is a acoustical manufacturer. We make wall and ceiling products. We also make acoustical lighting as well as dividers. We are located in Dallas, Texas area, and I'm coming to you from there. It's a little cold and maybe not well cold for Texas, but definitely a rainy time. My name is Slavi Younger, and I will be your host. I have been with Fräsch for a long time, and I've been teaching these classes for quite a while as well. So the topic of today's class is walls. So what could we possibly be talking about, right? We're talking about walls, right? So what we will address is when and why it makes sense to think about application for walls. I know we oftentimes talk about ceilings as the go-to acoustical choice. I will go over some products. The products are divided into subsections to based on performance, installation, and price point to kind of help you guys with seeing what might be the right solution, what would be the right recommendation for your customers. And then we'll kind of look at a couple of the more creative different ways to approach wall acoustics, like how do you take wall and carry the design over to the ceiling, as well as we'll look at some art, signage, as well as perforation as options for acoustics or the wall space. So first, let's take a look at why, right? Why are we even talking about acoustics? Well, guess what? Because we are building spaces that we want to exist in, right? And we as humanity have spent over 200,000 years developing as part of nature, right? So we are very well designed to function well outside. We really have been spending all this time indoors really just for about the last 150 years. So not very long at all in our overall timeline. We are actually now spending 87% indoors and the other 6% in a car. So what does that mean for us? So let's take a quick look at the human design, right? So our primordial sense of hearing is extremely well adapted to survival outdoors, which also means it's not really all that good at adapted to acoustics in an open office, right? That's sort of new conditions for us. We're also especially sensitive to human speech. Why? Because it's cooperating with each other is critical, or has always been critical to our survival. Sorry, I know my clicker is not working as it should. Okay, our hearing is omnidirectional, right? So that means we hear what's happening all around us, and it's always on. There's no off switch. You can't close your ears. There's no break, right? We especially notice dynamic sounds, right? Sounds that sort of pop over the other sounds within a space, like something falling, something really loud. And because we are so programmed to do well, and pick up human speech so well, it also kind of means we just really are not able to ignore it either. What does that mean then? That the human speech is really it's interfering with our cognitive task as the knowledge workers, right? That's sort of what we call office workers. So all the high levels of brain usage, if you will, like reading, quantitative reasoning, access to your working memory, is constantly interrupted by the interruption that sounds, that's noise in a space make. So what worked great for the hunter-gatherer is driving us all nuts, right? The inability to focus is very clearly shown in a lot of research about the modern offices. You know, open office, if not designed correctly, can have as much as 66% reduction of productivity, which is kind of a scary number to hear. And the other part is it doesn't just stay in an office. The constant interaction causes a lot of stress, psychological and physiological stress on us that actually has ongoing ailments that go with us even after that has been you know, even after we are removed from the space itself. So what's causing for the spaces to sound the way they do? Well, flat surfaces like walls and ceilings are made out of hard surfaces, hard materials like concrete, sheetrock, and those are the materials, or the combo of the flat and hard is what causes high reverberation. And what is reverberation? It's the thing that makes human speech unintelligible. It's also the thing that carries the human speech across the space, and also it's just downright annoying. So what are we going to talk about today? As you guys know, we're going to be talking about walls, but specifically, we are going to look at how we can turn the wall as the sound reflector to sound absorber, right? Let's turn our problem walls to solutions. The categories we'll go over are flat tiles, molded tiles, and wood-like products. And then we'll kind of look at some of other things a little more creative, as I mentioned, like wall-to-ceiling treatments, and then prints, perforation, and art. So let's start with the basic goodie we have. The way we've designed this to sort of help is every page will kind of show you what the cost ranges, the performance, and then the installation choices that you have. So with flat tiles, it's sort of the most basic option. What we're essentially talking about is taking the PET felt, you know, the product that Fräsch works with, which is made out of recycled plastic, it's highly sun absorbent, and just cutting it into shapes that then get installed on the wall. Obviously, the most effective option you have, because it has the least manufacturing time that involves. But if you've taken any of these classes before, I'm like a broken record on this that says that anytime you adhere any sun absorptive material directly to a hard substrate, like what we're describing here, meaning attaching acoustical material to a wall, you are going to reduce the performance of the material. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just needs to mean it just means it's good to be aware, so you know that your math works correctly and you're going to put enough of it in the space. So what are those products? So one of our most favorite is brick. Brick is really just, I mean, you can have it in a bunch of different shapes. Obviously, in our imagery, we tend to kind of show it off with a bunch of colors, but you can just go with one color. What we love about brick is that because the edges of the brick have been V-grooved, it just makes it for easier installation. Then the lines kind of look like they're there for on purpose, and really just kind of creates a really nice thing. But certainly doing a statement wall using all kinds of different shapes is certainly a way to do it. You can butt them to each other, they can be further apart each other. So this is sort of just the ideas there. Again, brick using, again, just sky's the limit, right? Just the idea is what, or your imagination is really what can stop you. I decided to name this Flat Plus, right? It's not quite flat tiles, it's the next step above. But what I'm talking about is our Brick 2.0 and Plank products. What these guys have, the advantage they have, why they perform acoustically a little better, is because we have bended the edges. And what that essentially means, they do come with built-in air cavity. As you guys probably know, air is your friend. Anytime you can add air behind your material, it will perform substantially better. The cost is slightly higher, but it's still very reasonable. The best part about this is the installation. So all of our like Brick 2.0 plank products actually can be installed through the front. I know you heard me correctly, through the front, because there is what we're calling secret trapdoor. There's a little tab that you pull open. You just use normal screws to screw the product in, and then you close the tab. And because the product or the material is felty, plus we use really thin knife to cut the opening. Once you close it, it completely disappears. So I can tell you with confidence that the extra money you spent on the product itself, you will realize those savings. You will realize those savings in installation costs for sure. So here's some of the looks, you know, brick 2.0. They do come in a couple thicknesses as well. You can really see it in a picture on the left, where you can add a little bit of a more dimension to your wall as well. And there's a plank and then brick, and you can actually see brick with wood grain print as well. Now let's look at molded tiles. So molded tiles are, by the way, guys, whatever questions you have, I know your microphones are shut in this stage, but please type them in. We'll address all of them at the end. So anything that pops into your head that you want me to touch on, don't be shy, just type it in. We won't be opening microphones at the end. There's just too many of you guys right now. Molded pieces. So what is molded piece, right? So what is advantage of a molded piece over what I've shown you before is that it does have a substantially larger cavity, which is the air is where the sound gets trapped, therefore they perform very well. The costs go up on these compared to the previous ones. Again, very, by the way, I'm comparing costs to among the products within Fräsch. As you guys know, we've really are very fairly priced, so this is not comparing it to market to costs that other comparable products would be up there. But the performance is really impressive, very impressive, especially with the Vibe series. You know, those actually rate at 0.95. 0.95 is almost perfect absorption. 0.95 is something that you would be very, very happy about with a ceiling product, right? It's a really, really good absorption for wall. It's absolutely amazing. You can direct glue them, or they come with a installed Velcro in the back, which means you take the opposite Velcro, put it onto a wall, make it even, and then just press the tile in. There's actually another sneak peek install I will show you after I show you a few photos of what these things look like. That is, it's a sneak peek. They just sent it to me yesterday, but you know, I can't help myself. You guys are my friends, so I show you stuff that I maybe shouldn't. Anyway, so hex, 3D hex, easy schmeezy one. You know, it doesn't stick out from the wall as much, therefore it doesn't perform maybe as well as like the Vibe series, but it's very applicable, right? It doesn't. You don't need to consider that extra space. You can do so much with those just by color or position, what you want to do with them. This is Shape Naomi in the Vibe series. Again, changing color, changing how you're going to lay them out, very much changes the look you get. This is Sway, one of my favorites, really subtle line, and you know, kind of can disappear. They can touch, as you see in these, but they can also be individually added. Cliff is the latest addition to the series. It actually has a little lower profile, and I feel like it's probably maybe even easier to use in spaces. So I think this guy is definitely a winner. So here is the little thing, the little sneak peek I wanted to show you. So what we're hearing from you guys is that how do you know? No, all walls are straight. None of them are, right? How do you make it just so? Or you have a customer that would like to really have it have the edges finished. So what you actually saw here that was really sped up is using a TGrid, 2x2 TGrid, traditional TGrid hardware, installing that on the wall, plugging the tiles in, and we have a covers that go over the thing. They're friction fit covers, so you just push them in onto the TGrid. So this product actually, our Vibe, they are actually designed to work in TGrid. I think that's kind of why I think our engineers were, oh, well, let's see what it would look like if we utilize the same thing on the walls. So here you go. This is certainly a way you can also combine the idea of carrying your ceiling to a wall or vice versa. So now wood or pretend wood, we should say. Okay, so let's first look at wood. sound here. I just want to show you that. So our star in this category, bar none, is Starwood. This has been accepted incredibly well, considering how new a product it is for us. It's definitely has a lot of fans out there. So what exactly is Starwood? It is a 9mm black PET that has wood planks attached to it. That's how it comes. Starwood is PET with MDF and then wood veneer on top. And Starwood Light is just PET and the wood veneer without the MDF. So you get a thinner product, substantially less heavy, and you still kind of get that look of just natural wood. The great thing about the black PET just kind of disappears. It doesn't look like, oh, what, you cannot tell. It just looks like a wall behind it. I absolutely think this is absolutely fantastic. As far as installation, there are you can glue the material directly to a wall. I'm not sure why this thing is stopping. Apologies for that. You can attach it directly to the wall. You can actually use screws and screw it through the PET part of the product, especially if you use black head screws. It completely disappears, especially when it's not somewhere where people will be very close. It works really, really well. And the middle one that I put in here, Schluter, is what if you've done any DIY projects, you know what I'm talking about. Schluter, it's a really common thing used in tile installations, and it comes in a bunch of different thicknesses and looks. And what essentially that does, it allows you to have sort of the starting part where you start putting the startup wood. The reason why we love it is because, again, no walls are perfect 90 degrees. And if you off just by a little bit, you will pick up on the difference over time, and your this linear product doesn't line up, and it wouldn't look as good, right? And with something this clean and linear, installation is critical to the final look, final appearance. Here's some of the looks that you can see. Like I said, we've done so many different places. I feel like we're now on 4th Marriott, and it seems to be going into rooms and also open spaces and all kinds of different things. It comes in 4 colors. The 4 colors are actually right here on this page, the gray wash, and then the 3 different wood grain colors from light to dark. Again, very, very creative things can be done with it. So now let's look at the fake wood. So what is this? What we're essentially talking about, we're talking about PET that has had a wood grain printed on the front. So what do you get? You get performance of PET, but you get that natural look of wood, right? So the cost is a little higher than if you just buy the material without the wood print, obviously, because there's an extra step to it. It performs the same. I know the range here is pretty big, but it depends which product you choose, right? Because you can do this print on many different things. The printing doesn't reduce the performance, which is really good. And again, same thing applies to installation. Installation, you can glue it at secret trap door on some of the products. It just depends what you want to do. We have 4 that we carry. We have done many custom matches as well. So we certainly can do that too. We are working on expanding into a few other colors, and we're actually playing with just the basic look of concrete. I think isn't that a great idea? We all keep the concrete ceilings exposed and things like that are sort of far, but you know what it ends up sounding like, right? So kind of covering something that really doesn't take away from it. I think this could be interesting. So anyway, I'll keep you posted as we go. We have to kind of figure out how this is going to all work out, but we're constantly listening to you guys and trying to add and improve on what's going on. We all, our little group here, we care about being trendsetters, right? So what I've been looking here is at different applications that you can do on the wall as far as wood grain. Here's plank, here's brick 2.0. Certainly you can do it on a bunch of other things. Honestly, I personally and then the photo on the right is actually just a quick shot in the shop. This is what the actual thing looks like. No special lighting, no anything. This is just kind of what it looks like. I know it's gorgeous, but I'm gonna tell you this, that I love the wood grain on the ceiling. You know, it does look good. However, if it's so close to you, you know, if it's a wall right next to you, the texture is not the same, right? So each their own. But for me, you know, if you're gonna be wood, be wood. At least that's my role. Don't try to fake me anyway. But when it comes to building beams and like a wood ceiling, I mean, it weighs nothing. So you're gonna save insane amount of money on the installation part of it. It's far enough where it, you know, it really reads as wood. Anyway, so as far as wall to ceiling ideas, obviously Starwood is your guy. You can do that on both, looks really great. The other one, I show you the vibe, you know, you can certainly take it from walls to TGrid ceiling, that looks really great. And the next option would be a Linefeld, right? So Linefeld is quite cost effective, performs really well. The install is really straightforward as well. They do come with a spike bracket system that you attach to a wall first, and then these rectangular tubes get snapped into the system, and the little spikes, actually the little teeth, hold it in place. Again, sky's the limit, right? So the color you choose, the way you end up placing it, here's just some ideas on what that can look like. So we don't ever spend enough on the prints and perforation, all that stuff. So we are dedicating a proper section to this, right? So when you're working on projects, there always will have to be some artwork or some you know, signage or what have you at any project, right? So if it's something you're going to be printing, think about printing on PET. Why? Well, you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, if you will, right? You, if you print it on PET, you are, instead of introducing hard surface that might come with, you know, glass or something like that, to a sun absorbed surface, right? The price is, again, a little higher, similar to actually like when you print wood, because the process is the same, right? It's all just about the print. Performance is the same, and as far as the installation, it depends what you end up doing, right? You can do brick 2.0, so you could do the secret trap door, or you can direct glue if you do a exact sheets, or you can screw it in and do some standoffs. I'll show you some of those ideas right here. So the photo on the right, we were asked to match these Pantone colors, and actually we actually even framed it in black PET. This was for I forget, but it was a very particular project. There was a bunch of them that we did, it was really interesting. It was very cool. I don't think the picture actually does it justice, so but it was really pretty. What you see on the left is what works really well. Again, because the edges were bent, and it essentially gets hung like you would hang a canvas. You come with built-in cavity, therefore it works really well. However, if you're thinking, I want something really substantial, it's going to be a full wall, you absolutely can print on just flat 4x8 sheets and continue the pattern across the sheets. Then you in the field, you know, attach. So you can, you know, you could cover entire wall. One thing that we all know, which there's nothing we can do about it, your image has to be big enough, or needs to be a vector that can be sized to the size you're going to do, because what will decide what this looks like is the quality of the image, and you guys know what I'm talking about. So here's kind of what it would look like if you do a high-res photo printed on our product panel. You know, certainly you could attach it to a wall or show it, or like you see it here, hanging, dividing a space. So the last thing, as far as walls, as far as creativity goes, I think panels are great. So we've done a few projects where the perforated panels were attached to a wall. Every single one looked amazing. I've seen when they did very little perforation, just for a peak of like a really bright color with some subtle color of PET on top. it's a great way to add texture, to add dimension, then and get the acoustics performance in there. You can direct glue it like you see it on the left, or the other option is you can use standoffs. There's a million standoffs. It's like a piece of jewelry. You can really change what you want to do. But when you use standoffs, what you're doing, again, me, the broken record, and my cavity talk, air cavity talk. So what you essentially done is, because it's away from the wall, you have that area for the sound to be trapped. You can perforate it or not perforate it, right? Depends what you want to do. And with that, I just love what you can actually accomplish just with lighting, right? You get really fun shadows and lights going through to get that image that's perforated onto a cool shadow behind it. So those are some of the ideas. As far as tools, we do have a wall builder tool on our website. It is pretty basic, right? It's not going to design things for you. However, it's a really great way as a starter, right? Kind of deciding to what colors you want to do, what placement you want to consider, and all you do is put your email address. We don't collect really anything from this. This is literally just for you guys to use, and we will email you an image of what you've designed. So really cool way, and you can do it over and over again. Cool way to share what your idea is with your customer as you are putting together your project. So that's definitely available there for you. A couple guys that you might have overlooked. They're a little new. So if you know of our R&D page, this is the page where there's things we've done for other people, sort of as a custom project, that it's figured out, it's worked out, we think is absolutely amazing, but it doesn't have a mountain of product paperwork, right, to go with it. It has basic tear sheets, some photography. So that's kind of where you can find Edge. What I love about Edge is literally just a 2x2 tile, 2 foot by 2 foot tile, flat tile with a quarter circle in 2 of the corners, and that is elevated. So there is your built-in cavity, right? So you get that extra little cavity, an extra little material, so you get that extra performance. But literally, just by changing the color and changing the direction of the way you install this tiles can completely change the look, right? I mean, you can go for super subtle or go really wild. Actually, in this, do I even have, oh yeah, I have a couple complete circles, yeah. So you can really get really creative and cover miles of wall with this for sure. Couple other ones. This is the last thing I want to show you that do get overlooked for sure is our gear and weave. Very subtle look, but again, have some dimension to it. Don't have to be glued. Really easy install, very kind of consistent. Just a little bit of a texture, perform really well. So definitely check these guys out. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Well, I done all the talking, so there has to be a participation part to any of my class, just so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. So I have a question for you. So let me turn this on. We do these guys for you, and I don't know if it shows or not, but these things are actually a lot of work. So we are curious, they take us a lot of time to put together and everything else. I know I'm whining a little bit, sorry about that. But we would love to know which ones are your favorite. Like, which ones would you like to see more of? Is it the products, learning about how to use them, what to do? Is that kind of why you keep coming back? Is it the design inspiration you just like to see? Hey, what are we cooking up? What our other customers cooked up? Or is it the science? Like, do you like, hey, I like to just learn a little more about that? And if you're one of those indecisive types, or you just love it all, please select D. That you just like it all. But if you can pick one, we'll focus a little more on those. So we give you guys what you feel like you benefit most from. All right, so we got 70% of you respond. That's usually where I stop. And product and design inspiration are products. 22% like products. 20 of you like design inspiration. only 7 of you appreciate the sound science, and 51% of you, half of you, just like it all. So there you go. Okay, we're gonna stop telling you about air cavity because you had enough of that. But no, I think that's kind of a good thing to have. Anyway, so as we're wrapping up here, I have to point out our 15-day lead time. These are wall products. Strata wood, panel, and brick are still on 15-day lead time. So if you have something you need to finish up quickly, please consider these for your project. And 2 upcoming classes we have. We are teaching a CEU, it's HSW class with 1 credit for AIA. So please share this with your friends, with your architects and designers that are looking to learn a little more about education spaces or need a class. Everyone's welcome. You don't need to need a credit to join us. And we're gonna do a update on R&D. Actually, you know, it might be actually that page might be called something else because we've been just talking about like, no, we can do better. R&D is a dumb name. We can come up with more creative names. So it may be called something else. I don't want to give it away yet, but sometimes in June. So keep an eye open for the date. We are not going to be rehashing the same thing. It's more that so much more stuff it has been added to that section. So we want to make sure we highlight those products because, like I said, our engineers can't stop designing, and our customers actually honestly come up with some of the best ideas. And so why not share their awesome ideas with rest of you. So that is it for me. If you guys have any questions, type them up really quickly because we already are at 30 minutes. So I don't want to keep anybody past this. One question I see here from Caitlin is if you guys can get the presentation by email. Absolutely. Lisa, our marketing manager, does a great job of sending a follow-up email to everyone to join us. That will have a copy of the presentation included. So just keep an eye open for that. Usually, we send it within a couple days. So there's that. Thank you again. I appreciate you. This was awesome. You guys were able to join us. If you think someone else could benefit from it, we are going to do one more today in the afternoon, 2 o'clock Central, and it's going to be live. So tell your friends, they can still register. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate you greatly and talk to you soon.